What's up, guys? This is Dan Wilson, and you're listening to another episode of Ddon.life. I'm peeking out like a motherfucker right now. Let's turn the shit down. How's that sound? Still too high? Fuck. Jesus Christ. How's that sound? I don't know what the fuck is up with this. I hope I'm not peeking out like a motherfucker. Maybe if I step back a little bit. Anyways, guys, how you doing? Dan Wilson, another episode of Ddon.life. First thing I'm going to say is go to your podcast app, type in Ddon.life, hit subscribe. This is only for iPhones, so I'm sorry. You can go to Libsyn.com and you can find my show slug. It's just called Ddon.life. So you can find, and I really should be uploading all these episodes to www.ddon.life, you know, and I'm gonna do that. But in the meantime, just go to your podcast app and find it on iTunes. Ddon.life. I want to thank Andrew Blashko for the previous episode. Super successful episode. Tons of people downloading. Got a lot of great feedback about that. So, Andrew, thank you, my friend. I really do appreciate it. Today, I have an awesome conversation with, you've heard him before, my good friend Anthony Stefan. And Anthony is currently living in New York. And Anthony and I have been through some awesome adventures together, traveling. One of the best places we've gone together is Sedona, and we've done the epic hikes with some of our other friends. But Anthony and I both have taken a lot away from our friend Peter Allen Gersten. You can go back to the previous episodes and listen to my interview. Anthony was there too. Our interview with Peter Allen Gersten. And we're just talking about this idea of us being in a simulation right now, this life as a simulation. And this isn't just some whack job concept. There's a lot of mainstream, I would say science and media reporting that the more and more they look at it, the more and more they think we're living in like a very sophisticated simulation. Watch the Simulation Hypothesis. It's on YouTube. And you hear all of these people talking about the holographic reality we're in, and just idealism versus materialism, and how the materialism worldview is breaking down, blah, blah, blah. I'm not claiming to be some science expert here, but today we're going to entertain the idea that we are in a simulation. And when you look at life as if you're in a simulation and you compare it to like a video game or a movie that you wrote, and then you download it into your body without any recollection that you agreed to do this, it makes the whole thing a lot more fun when you look at it like that. So Anthony and I, we talk about it, and he's got some awesome shit to share. So hope you guys enjoy it. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. My friend, Anthony Stefan.
I basically had faith in the simulation, and then I was programming the best thing that I possibly could. So I did the footwork. The footwork didn't end up even being as hard as I thought it would end up being. And the next thing I know, boom, it happened. And then more things started happening that I wanted to happen, and more things after that. And I just kept having faith in the simulation and knowing. And then what I realized, and the thing is like when we went to Sedona, when we went there, I mean, I went for the first time 2.5 years ago.
Right.
And basically, I had all these different thoughts, and I had all these different notions of kind of the way the universe worked. I didn't really have a strong foundation or whatever, but just the time that we had there and the people that we met and the experiences that we created, especially with learning Peter, with learning everything that it's like, this guy's almost 75. He's lived a huge, rich life. He's been involved and done so many different things. And he's now on this trajectory. And I remember we all sat there. I don't know if I could say this or not, but we went through the portal, right? We the the B portal, and the conversation I had with him, my goodness, just really it hit something very, very, very deep in me. And then the experiences that I started having after you left with him got even more crazy.
Right.
I won't really go into the detail, but basically, oh, fuck it, I will. So I went up there, wrote something, conquer fear. It just came to me. Because I remember as we were climbing up to the top, so what happened was, the first time I climbed up to the top of Bell Rock, I was like, man, oh man, I'm so freaked out. Oh my God, I could fall, I could die. But then I sat there and played a trick with my mind, and I said, you know what? This is all an illusion. I'm at a mall right now. I could be at a mall. If I fall, 10 feet below me, I fall into a little bouncy pad. It's all good. And by doing that, I realized that the only thing that I was fearing was fear itself. And it's funny because you hear that all the time. Oh, don't fear, da 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 da. But it's literally, fear is such a mind killer. I see people walking around and they're just so freaked out and stressed out about stuff, and it's like they're giving into their own fears. So I guess continuing and expanding on that. So I got up to the top of Bell Rock, and I wrote that. Well, that in itself, it was like this sigil. It sent out this message. And then
Wait. So when you say you wrote it, I just want to be clear. You basically
No. I took a piece of rock and just kind of etched it.
Like chalk.
Like chalk. So it wasn't permanent.
Next rain, it's going away. Next time it rains, it's gone.
I actually went up there the next day and filmed pouring water on top of it. And just because I was so paranoid about it. Because literally, and I always joke about this, because and I've never really talked about this in detail, but literally what happened. So I wrote this thing, took a picture, put it on my Facebook, put it on my Instagram, hashtag Sedona, and a few other things. Next thing I know, I get this inbox, and it was literally like 15 to 20 messages, and you got it too.
Yeah.
And you had posted some stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
I was getting flooded by all these people that were because I guess there was a big vandalism that had happened, and people were really pissed off, so they started looping us both in with it. And I remember I was so freaked out I was going to stay there a little bit, but I remember talking to Peter, and I'm sitting there, I'm freaking out, I'm talking to him about it, I'm like, this could happen, that could happen, and he just sits there and he grabs his chin and he looks at me with this face. He goes, what did he say exactly? He goes, he's like, this could be an interesting spinoff. So, and it's just all these different philosophies that he has and the life that he lives. And we've talked about this a lot. What he's doing right now, it's like literally our lives are, you could compare it to a show or a video game. And what we were saying earlier, it's I realize that all you have to do is have faith in the simulation and in your own mind, and you can literally create whatever you want. If you're constantly bombarded by fear and anguish, and you're letting those things get to you, that then becomes your reality. But you have to fight through those fearful feelings, and we all go through it every day. Like I was telling you earlier, and we'll get into that later, but what I was telling you earlier is being emotional and falling in love and all that stuff, it sparks up all these different fears that sometimes we bottle down and we haven't dealt with for a while. And that fear of loss, like I was telling you with the Star Wars analogy, that fear of loss can really lead to some that itself can become a terrible reality. If you're dating someone and you're constantly insecure and you're afraid you're going to lose them, and you're doing all these little things, you're worried about, you're constantly who were you out with last night, or what were you doing with this person? Or, you stayed at your friend's house. Well, what did you really do? It's like that insecurity and that fear actually pushes other people. It pushes people away, which then, materializes into the exact scenario that you didn't want.
Exactly.
And I'll use the analogy here. So, we'll use the Star Wars analogy. A lot of people hated the prequels. I didn't. I'm sorry. I thought they were fucking awesome, and everybody hates Hayden Christensen's acting. I'm like, okay, fuck you. It's a good story. I think it was brilliantly done because it gave an interesting background to why Darth Vader became this terrible, evil villain, when you realize that he was just a poor, tortured soul that became a villain because of his own fears. Well, what happened? Well, in a nutshell, if you watch Revenge of the Sith at the end, he was afraid of losing Padme. He kept getting nightmares, these prophetic nightmares that she was going to die in childbirth. Well, what did he do? Well, he went to Yoda. Yoda tells him, basically, fear of loss is a path to the dark side, right? He's like, you need to celebrate if someone dies. You need to let go. He literally says, let go. Just have faith, let go. Well, what does he do? He wants to control. He says, no. So he gives into the dark side. He becomes Darth Vader. He kills all these younglings. And all that pain and suffering that he created ends up making Padme die at the end, and he's fucking miserable and burned half and alienated all his friends and becomes this terrible tyrant, blah, blah, blah. Everyone knows the story. But the point there is he followed his fear. He made that choice to follow his fear. And what happens when you follow fear, and this right here is the meat and potatoes of this. When you follow that fear, it materializes into a reality. It happens every single time. Every single time. And that's the biggest thing that I've learned on all these journeys, and even things that I'm going through currently. You're with someone, you like them, and these little insecure things, you start acting out on them, and you start thinking about them. You have to let go of those thoughts, and I'm dealing with that literally right now. Knowing all this knowledge, I'm dealing with that literally right now. So, and going back to kind of paralleling what Peter talks about. Knowing that this is all just a simulation, it's all a show, right?
Yeah.
So we go through all these different levels. It's like a video game or a show. It's like we go through all these levels. And I remember when I was looking for my side gig and I was job hunting and I didn't have a lot of money, I remember it because I was on a bus going to New York with all these fears and all these thoughts in my head. And I said, you know what? No. This is like literally, and this is interesting. Do you remember when on Peter's birthday, he was afraid to climb up to the cliff?
Yes.
And he talked about how it was like this video game that it's like you have the boss battle. We talked about it in that podcast with him. Well, I realized that all these little trials and tribulations that you go through, you can look at them and go, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I got this going on. I got that going on. Or you can get creative and say, no, this is like an epic boss battle. And the music starts to play, and you got to get ready, and you got to start fighting your way through it. And I realized that all these little challenges and all these little trials and tribulations that we go through are literally boss battles with other people, boss battles with situations, or like I sent you that link, and that was kind of a theme there with literally Link from Zelda 2, A Link to the Past, great fucking game. Who's the last boss that you fight, or as they would say, the master of the game? Well, it ends up being yourself, your shadow self. So many times you are in a constant battle with your shadow self. And some people say you need to align with it. There's a lot of different theories there of what to do. Well, at the end of the day, and I don't know many people who haven't mastered it. Some people have, obviously, but I realize that we're always in a battle with our shadow self. Whether it be external forces or, environmental things involving other people or, relationship stuff, we're always, at the end of the day, we're always battling this. There's always this internal struggle within ourselves. And it's basically fear. You're battling out these insecurities and these fears, and we're doing it all the time. And what I've been recently going through is I'm finding I'm battling them yet again. I haven't really battled them or dealt with them for quite a while, and it sucks. You know, you hurt, you get emotional, you get sensitive about stuff. But the thing is I can take myself out of it and realize, well, this is simulation. This is another episode that I'm in, that I'm dealing with. I'm in this episode right now. You know, I started this season. Oh wow, you know, I'm in the midst of this interesting romantic comedy that's going on right now. You know, there's tragic aspects to it or whatever, but you're going through it, and you have to take a step back and just enjoy it and have faith. Have faith that you programmed the best reality for yourself. And if you do that, if you have faith and let go of that fear, and not so much try to control the situation and hold on to it, but if you merely just kind of sit back, know that you program the best things, follow logic, don't follow your fears, you know, stay on that high vibration, the situation is going to work itself out. And for me, at least, being, you know, 33, almost 34 years old, you know, I look back at my life, I look at all the situations I've been in, and, you know, I look at, you know, the experience I've had with you and other people and different things, and I say, wow, I'm living a pretty good life. I mean, hey, the fact that, you know, we live in a first world country, have access to shelter, food, water, I mean, that in itself is just an amazing delicacy. And those are it's like you have to really look at those things and be humble. So it also encompasses being humble and thankful for your surroundings every single day. And life is good, my friend. Life is good. There's all these different aspects to it. There's all these, you know, there's villains. There's different things going on. There's relationship struggles. There's, you know, someone's trying to screw someone else. There's things involved with money or this and that. You can get stressed out over it, but the thing is, we're in a flawed simulation. We're in a flawed reality, so there's always going to be strife. Nothing's going to be perfect, people. Nothing's going to be peachy keen and white picket fences, and you could get married and find your perfect person or whatever, and in fucking 5 to 10 years, they get fucking cancer and die, and now you're stuck. And now you're going through all the notions of being sad and oh, I've lost this person, and so going through those, you know, my cousin was with a girl for 13 years, and the relationship didn't work out, and his life became a mess, and he became an alcoholic and did drugs and became schizophrenic and all this crazy shit. You know, it's about how do those situations mold you. And it's like I always look at Peter's those different memes that he puts out, and I'm just like, wow, like right on, like. You know, he's on to something.
He's on point.
He is so, pardon my French, he is so fucking on point. And it's like all the little aspects, and I hope he's listening, but all the little aspects and things that he's talked about. It's like, I asked him, it's like, well, you know, he's bringing people. It's like this guy here is literally bringing, you know, I think he broke a record the other day. So if you're listening, Peter, congratulations. I can't remember what the number was. Did you see
I
the
think
number
it was 17.
Jeez.
7. Well, he does a daily record, and then he's got a weekly record, and he broke both. So it's good.
Yeah, this guy broke a record. He's bringing people up constantly every day. He took 2 weeks off, and he brought up all these people. And I remember going there because when I go there next time, I want to break a record. I don't know why, but when we go there next time, I want to help him break a record.
And
it's great.
Just for people, if this is the first episode that you're hearing, go back and listen to the interview with Peter Allen Gersten, and that will give you the backstory to everything that Anthony's saying right now. I just want to make a point. I was hanging out with my friend Ejan yesterday, and we were just talking about aliens and stuff, and he mentioned something about the holographic reality, and we had never talked about it before, so I'm like, you got to check out this documentary, The Simulation Hypothesis. So we put it on, and he watches it, and then his first question was just like, you know, and this is, comparing it to a video game really does make sense, because he asked me, he's like, if someone created this simulation we're in right now, why am I not rich? Why don't I have a perfect body? Why isn't there beautiful women around me right now? And I was
Wow.
and at first I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. But then I was thinking about it. If you're playing a video game, have you ever played a video game when you were a kid and you got all the cheat codes and you just won and the game's over? And you're like, well, what was the point of that? The whole point of it is to go through the struggles and have the obstacles and the pleasure of overcoming the obstacles. And in our case, in this simulation we're in right now, fear is the big obstacle.
That is the big obstacle. It's literally the universal big obstacle that everyone goes through every single day. It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, what you're dealing with. You could be rich, you could have millions of dollars. It doesn't matter. You're literally faced in dealing with fear, and there's another dual encompassing theme to it. It's this never-ending chase of things in the material world, whether it be love or wealth or this right here is the crux of, this is the core of what an addict is. It's someone who's chasing this high or chasing this feeling that is fleeing. Because you got to remember, everything is constantly fleeing. Nothing lasts. You have bliss, you have, this abundance and greatness. It doesn't last. You could have everything, but there's something in our design that makes it so we're just never fully content, ever. We're never fully just pleasured and happy with this moment, whether it be the perfect marriage or the perfect whatever. When that in itself is the strife, and the strife is like this struggle in a video game, or it's turmoil that you would have in these shows. You watch these shows and they're entertaining to see, this person's dealing with a villain and they got to go do this, or nothing is that's the thing, people. Nothing is, white picket fences and happy, clouds and butterflies all the time. Life is struggle. It's a flawed reality, and you got to realize that and just start having some fun with it. Start having fun, and if it's just too much with you, just know that you programmed the best thing. Have faith in your programming. Have faith in the power of your mind, knowing that you can materialize any fucking thing you absolutely want. If you want it, if it's meant to be, it happens. But you have to sit there. It's like you have to sit there and go through the notions and jump through the hoops to make those things happen. If it's really worth it. Right. And I can tell you what, I've been at the bottom of the barrel, and I've been, I was talking to you a few months ago, man. I was very fearful of a lot of shit, but I said, fuck that shit. I said, fuck being fearful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fight through this, and I'm going to have the best thing ever. And now I do. I have the best. I have one of the greatest lives. Like, my life is so great, and I get out of bed. I feel thankful. I feel happy. I have an abundance of wealth. I barely work. It's great. I live a great life, and I wake up just knowing that, and I'm so happy and content. And that's another thing. We're talking about like relationships, right? It's like people feel so unfulfilled all the time. They're like, I need to find this person to fulfill me, and it's like you look back on your relationships, even when you're in that bit, it's like you're never fully fulfilled. You're never fully fulfilled by that. It's nice to have that. It's great. But, love and everything in this reality is fleeing. You could be with someone for, 10, 20, 30 years. Something happens, they die, or, the man decides that, he's going to screw the secretary that's 20 years younger than him, or the woman, wants to hook up with Jose, the Guatemalan gardener, and move down south or whatever. Like, this shit happens all the time, and people just get so fucked up, they're holding on to it. But when you realize that everything is fleeing, that everything is chaotic, that this entire world that we live in it's based on chaos. It is chaos. So embrace the chaos. When your life isn't chaotic, enjoy that moment. Enjoy it like it is an expensive cognac. a King Louis cognac that's expensive. You don't sit there and fucking pound that shit. That you go to a bar that's going to cost you $300 a fucking shot. You fucking take that and you sip on it and you enjoy it like it is a fine, delicious cognac. You enjoy those little moments for what they are, but
right.
You have to know that they are fleeing, that your cup is limited. And when it's all about your mindset. It's all about how you approach situations with everything. And we all go through it. Like I said before, I'm in a situation right now where I'm feeling these fucked up emotions and feelings for someone, and it's causing me to think and give into my fears. So I have to realize that, you know what, everything's fine. We're hanging out. It's not a big deal. I don't need to be stressed out about it. I don't need to be sitting there and worried about it and all this stuff. And, I need to just enjoy it for what it is and stop trying to, take in more and get selfish and project any type of insecurity or fear to it. And I have to take myself out and that's the thing. Anytime you're in a chaotic, terrible part, you realize that, okay, you're in a tough level, When I was younger, I played video games, dude. I'll tell you what, I never used cheat codes. I played that game. This was at least how I played video games back then. Because I had what was that thing called? I had a Game Genie. I had cheat codes. I bought books and all that shit. But I always played the game first in its entirety, and I made sure I got to the point where it was almost impossible to get through that point. And yeah, sometimes I'd have to bust out the manual and look through, or Game Genie. I just use that shit for fun once I got through the game. But you gotta enjoy those tough, difficult trials and tribulations that you have in the simulation, because that's the foundation of it. And you enjoy your success so much more when the trials have been so difficult, because once your life is good and you've got that abundance of wealth, or you've got the wife that you want or whatever, you will sit there and you'll remember how hard and how tough things were before you had those things, and you will, or people or situations or wealth or abundance or whatever, and you will enjoy it so much more and sip it so much slower when you get to that point, when you level up, when you get to the next level. But that's another thing, and that's another concept, talking about the simulation, the video game. When you beat the boss, right, the end of the game is our death. Boom, you're done. Boom, right? We just keep going and going and going and going. We go through the level. There's some coasting. There's some bonus levels. There's some cool stuff that happens.
Yeah.
But eventually we're going to get to a boss. Eventually, we are going to get to a boss. And when I say boss, I don't mean a person. Yes, it could be a person. Many times it is. But it's a situation, or it's just dealing with yourself. It's like, oh, shit, here's an aspect of myself that I haven't really came to terms with. I don't really know how to deal with this. So let's go. Let's see how I'm going to fucking battle that shit. And just like Link, it's even funnier that I didn't mention that, because there's two ways to fight the shadow in A Link to the Past. You can either do the cheat method, there's a cheat method, or you can go through it and actually fight him without using the cheat method. And you better believe I fucking went through and fought that fucker without the cheat method. But the thing is you're going to get to a boss. The level's going to coast, it's going to be nice or whatever, but you're going to get to a boss. It's like you get in a happy marriage, right? You're in this marriage and it's great and it's awesome. Well, some thing's going to happen in that relationship. And it may not be something big or huge, but you're going to run into a situation in that marriage that you don't know how to deal with. It could be an issue with yourself. It could be an issue with the other person that you're with. It doesn't,
kids.
That's all.
It could be your kids.
Kids, yeah. Oh, God, we have kids now. Or, fuck, I just got laid off.
Right.
Now my wife's working and I'm sitting at home fucking job hunting, and she's getting fucking pissed off at me, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to sit around and cry in your beer and have her start resenting you and working and working and working while you're just kind of sitting there freeloading off of unemployment, or just sitting on your ass waiting for your unemployment to fucking burn up, and and hate yourself and start letting that negativity, or are you going to say, fuck that, I'm going to jump back out there, find the best job possible? And if you have that kind of dedication, you 110% will. And I'm just using that as an example because your life was great. You got this marriage. Cool. You're now on this really nice, great level. But slowly but surely, you're going to cross a boss. You're going to cross a battle. You know, what was Peter's boss on his birthday? Well, climbing up to the top of the crypt of Bell Rock. He had never done it before. You know, so that's kind of where I got that. That's kind of where I got that idea. And I remember as a kid dealing with bullies and stuff like that, I used to imagine them as bosses. And, you know, I was a smaller guy, so I had to really kind of sit there and think of how to, like, maneuver. I remember, like, literally, dude, it's so weird that it's like we talk about this, but I remember as a kid dealing with different bullies, and I wasn't like, you know, some of them were a lot bigger, so what did I have to do? Well, I had to go around and get other people to have my back and create a coalition and kind of throw them over, like a, you know, Game of Thrones kind of situation or something like that, you know. And
right.
I remember having boss music going on in my head kind of while I'm doing this and understanding it's all this like big dynamic. So it's like we go through all these different challenges, but it's all about a challenge every fucking day is going to be faced. It's going to be thrown into your lap, and it's all about how you handle it. You can put it off, you get freaked out, you can procrastinate, you can worry, you can sit there and say, oh, yeah, what am I going to do here? You can start pitying yourself. You can play the fucking pity party like a lot of people do. Or you can say no, and you can fucking grab that bull by its horns or grab that sword and go right into it and fight gallantly. And sometimes, and many times, you can get your ass kicked and you could die. You know, let's say, I'm just going to throw in an example. Let's say there's a guy who's an actor and he's, you know, trying to find a gig or whatever. Well, he's going to all these different, what's the word I'm looking for here? He's going to all these different, not recital, what is it? You're acting, you go to try, whatever. He goes to these tryouts,
audition.
You know. Audition, yeah. So you can go to all these different auditions and get rejected. So it's like you're dying over and over again. But then finally you get the one and you nail it and you appreciate it so much. And hey, it's part of your portfolio now. It's part of who you are. You know, it could get you to another level. You know, it's all about how you handle that. But it's all about really just grabbing life by the horns, realizing it's all a video game. Everything's going to be okay. This is all simulation. When you have faith in the simulation, nothing can harm you. You're not afraid of anything. You get your arm chopped off. You could fall into, you know, a pit of lava. You could get cancer or whatever. Fuck, look at Peter. He got cancer and beat it and fought through it gallantly.
Yep.
And now he's a shining example for others of how we should be and how we should look at life. So.
Awesome. Yeah, it made me, something you said, it reminded me of, I read this book, 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. And there's a chapter he calls Don't Fight Your Last War. And basically what it means is that when you're in a battle, that's when your mind is keen and you're sharp. And as soon as you just accept, as soon as you're looking to retire, basically, and you don't want to, you don't have the willpower.
Stamina?
Stamina, willpower to battle. Yeah. That's when it all goes downhill from there. And it is the struggle. It is the battle. It is the war that brings you, I'm not going to say happiness, but that he's saying embrace the struggle.
The victory. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how you get victory, basically.
Right.
You can't cheat and get victory because it doesn't mean anything.
Right. The victory isn't as sweet.
Right. Knowing you earned something is much better than... It's kind of like why... I mean, this is all secondhand information, but it's like when you hear someone win the lottery and they just become miserable. Because... Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's why it is, but...
I got a buddy who, you know, he came into a lot of money and he's still kind of chasing, and you know, he stays on a good level or whatever, but you know, at times he can get kind of I guess disgruntled here and there, you know, and I guess I've talked to a lot of people who won the lottery. Well, not a lot of people. I know, one guy that won. He won a lot of money, and he became really just miserable because he realized that money wasn't throwing all this money around wasn't making him happy.
Wow. Fuck. I
Excuse
just
me.
it seems like a good problem to have. I don't know.
Right? Well, those old there's those sayings that, people with some of the people with the most money are some of the loneliest
Sure.
because they think they can just kind of throw money at a problem, and it'll just go away. But it's all about having stealth, having that kind of like drive and appreciating the battle. It could be a small battle, it could be a not so small of a battle, but you're going to go through strife either way, and it's going to happen a lot. And you might as well embrace it, and you might as well have some fucking fun with it.
Absolutely. I think that's the theme, is that this whole... So basically, in summary, we very well could be living in a simulation. You could compare it to a video game.
I believe it. 100%.
We go through levels, and at the end of each level, we fight a metaphoric boss man.
Yep.
And we have to overcome it to get to the next level.
Right. And the next level isn't this contempt. And that's the thing, is like, people have this idea, like, life is this journey. It's all about the journey. There's no destination. There's no place you just get to and you're just there and sometimes people do get there and they stay there and they get miserable, but it's like, you're always leveling up. You're always going through. You're always getting experience. It's all really about how you look at that situation. And for me, understanding that this is all video game and I'm just leveling up each time and going on these different, going to these different levels and having these different challenges makes it for a really interesting life. It makes it for a really interesting life.
It really changes your perspective.
That's exactly, you nailed it.
When you realize, or like, even, just entertain the idea. Entertain that you're in a simulation. Maybe, there's consciousness the signal is being sent from somewhere else, and we download it into these bodies, and we're in a very high, sophisticated simulation. And
which a lot of science backs, by the way, and now even... You have even Wall Street Journal, I think it was talking about, or it was Bank of America. But no, a lot of scientists are starting to become more and more mainstream, and it makes sense. Like, this is literally the stuff religions talk about. Like, all the great religions talk about having a body and the soul. Well, what is the soul? The soul is the computer programming that's downloaded into these bodies.
Right.
What of our body? You have DNA. DNA is the basic programming of these bodies. These people who think it's like, anybody who thinks that like there's nothing after life, that there's nothing more, is to me is just insane. Like, believe whatever you want, believe you go to heaven or believe whatever, but it's just there's so much scientific evidence that there is more. There is more past this physical realm. We live in a 3-dimensional, 5-sense reality. To me, at this point, for someone to not at least embrace or understand the idea that there's something that happens afterwards, we don't know what it is. That's one thing. Like, we have no idea. People can sit there and speculate, but it's all speculation. We don't necessarily know what happens afterwards, and it's so weird, honestly, to live in a time now where in the simulation that we live in, you see another simulation slowly materializing within this simulation. Like, we live in that time now. We live in the age of the digital realm.
Yep.
So how crazy is it for us, to be in our early 30s in the midst of all this crazy stuff? I mean, our world is so fucking crazy right now. People are on fire. I'm not going to get into politics in any way, shape, or form, but you see what's going on in the world right now and just how insane and crazy. And that's another aspect to it. Like, there's a lot of depressing and scary shit going on. But there's also a lot of exciting stuff going on and a lot of potential for a lot of good stuff going on as well.
There it is.
It's all about how you look at it. I sit there and I read articles every day, and I start getting kind of depressed and upset. It's like, oh, but it's like I don't give into it because I have faith that whatever's going to happen, or whoever gets elected or whatever, I have faith that this is all pre-programmed. It's all part of the simulation. I have no power over anything, externally, political wise or whatever, what's going to end up happening to our world. But I am nothing but just a lone traveler watching this great show and also being a part of it because I get to be my own character in the simulation. How cool is that? You should be waking up every single day and just being happy that you can breathe, that you can see, that you have your appendages, that you have the potential to create and do and change whoever the hell you want and whatever the hell you want, and you can have whatever the hell you want. That's the secret. That's what I've realized. That was the big epiphany that happened to me over the summer, and understanding that this is all a simulation and it's a video game, this show. I can do whatever I want. Like, I can have and get and do whatever I want. If I want an abundance of money, or I want this, or I want that, or I want to be in shape. I was in bad shape for a while. I was overweight. Not by a lot, but I mean, you remember when I came out and worked out, I was husky. I was big. I was like 220, 15 pounds. I said, man, I'm going to design a body that's in pretty good shape. And I'm still, I'm in pretty good shape now. Like, I'm working on. That was one confirmation of the simulation that I can do that. And along with a lot of other things, abundance of wealth and etc. And guess what? I'm having the best life ever doing it and living in this simulation because I have faith and I realize it's all show, it's all video game, it's all simulation. And because of that, I'm living the best life I could possibly have.
Fucking epic, dude. I think that's what?
It is in 2 minutes, my friend. It is about to be, at least my time, because I know you're on Central, I'm on Eastern. It's about to, in 1 minute, it's about to be 11:11.
Let's end on 11:11, all right? And that's...
I'm into it. Any final words? We got 60 seconds.
We don't have... I'm just going to end the recording. We can finish up afterwards.
Right, I know.
Yeah. So my final words are just thank you. I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate your perspective, and I love the updates from you, the text update, all of the text updates. I love them. And as it progresses,
life is good.
It's like watching a story, man.
Dude, it is. And the best part is we all get to watch other people's crazy stories and lives happen, and then we get to collide. It's great. The technology we live in, people dog on, Facebook and all that stuff. I love it. I love the fact that I can see all my friends and all these people having kids and they're getting married, and I'm like, yeah, I'm liking the statuses. Like, go girl, yeah, look at you, Like, to anybody who's listening, who's friends with me on Facebook, like, literally this year, like 50, I don't know, like at least 100 of my friends, I've all gotten married. They're all having kids, and I'm happy for them. It's like they wanted that life, and it's great, and that's a part of their story, and it's fucking awesome that we get to watch that. It's just great to be entwined, and I can't wait for Sedona. I can't wait for our travels that are coming up. You, my friend, you've been a great friend. We've been good friends now for a little over 5 years, and we've been on this crazy journey together where we collide, and we're taking all this information, and I'm just thankful for you to be my friend. I'm thankful for all my friends out there, and it's great that you created this, you're starting this, and just there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy cooking up. And the crazy part was this past Friday there was a lunar eclipse, it was Mercury retrograde, and it was a full moon. It was a whole big shabacle of crazy.
Wow.
A lot of crazy stuff going on cosmically. I think I'm going to eventually have you interview my roommate. She does like tarot card readings. She's really into astrology and really spot on. She did my reading. It was really on point. But anyways, we'll end this. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I thought it was epic, and I'm going to end it now. All right.
All right, buddy.
Anthony Stefan, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, there it is. Awesome, awesome. I want to thank Anthony for doing that because I thought that was really good of him to, he's a busy guy, took some time to talk for Ddon.life. Hopefully there will be a lot more of that. Again, I would encourage you to go to your podcast app and subscribe because I don't want to completely rely on Facebook for everything, It'd be nice if you subscribed on, if you're going to listen, then, maybe you could just listen on the podcast app. Peace.